Tim?
Good evening and welcome to Let's Talk Shop with Russ. Let me get back over here to the chat, and there I am in the chat. We have Jason is out there. I can't pronounce his name. Rich. What'd y'all say? There was Richelhoff. Okay, Richelhoff. And if y'all haven't noticed by out there that are new, I butcher names really, really bad. I called Michelle Marcoux Michael Marks something for like a year. But
he still watches. He still watches after that.
Yep.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. He's a good friend. He's a good guy.
Good.
Michelle Marcoux's out there. Rick St. Louis. Leonard Davis. Alex. And Alex, I can't pronounce your last name either. Dan Inge from Dan Inge Woodworking.
Chris Nealon's
all
out
those
there.
people are out there in the chat, and I appreciate you being out there. So, an Aussie man showed up.
Indeed.
He says, "Wow, on time today." Yep, you're just on time. And that's a funny thing about with Aussie man, because as we go to sleep, he's getting
Right.
up.
Yeah.
So right now, it's becoming our nighttime. He's just now waking up, and his day's fixing to start. Actually, it's Sunday right now for him.
Right.
He's waking up on Sunday morning.
Australia.
Yeah, he's in Australia. He's in
Down
Australia.
under.
Yep. So all those people out there, I appreciate it very much. On to all of y'all who are out there, if you haven't already, subscribe. I would appreciate it. Go ahead and click that button down there and give me a subscription. And also, if you hit the little bell that's up there on YouTube, it will remind you when I have posted a video or we have a live stream. And don't forget to give me a thumbs up. I would appreciate it very, 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 very much. Thank you. So now that we have that out of the way, let me talk about my wonderful sponsors, and they are DeVobel Technologies for web design, development, hosting. Visit devobel.com. FastCap, innovative products for the professional woodworker. Go to fastcap.com. Rockler, 60 years in woodworking. Create with confidence. Visit rockler.com. Bearwood Supply Company, your best choice for hard-to-find woodworking supplies. Go to bearwood.com. Klingspor, the sanding specialist. Woodworkingshop.com. And Seiko, the scroll saw specialist. Seiko.com. We have Ben here. How do you pronounce your last name, Huntzinger?
Yes, sir. Also pronounced as winner.
Winner.
There you go.
But Ben's going to be our guest tonight, and he's going to be talking about his Spartan Wheel Chariots? Yeah.
Chariots. Correct.
Chariots, yeah, Spartan Wheel Chariots. So he makes them, and we're going to pick his brain tonight and talk about them and how he makes them. So that's very good. But let's go ahead and let the panel introduce themselves. So, Jim.
Wow, first this time, Jim Bashir's Driveway Workshop, and that's about it.
That's it, Jim?
That's about it, yeah.
Man,
I'm sure I'll think of something stupid to say later.
Okay. You can
Okay,
interrupting you.
Real
there.
quick, Gerald Vance and Jerry Blakesley and Mike Morris are all over on Facebook. Jerry,
cool, right?
how you doing, Jerry? Jerry, he said he was struggling with the chat. It wouldn't let him comment. Well, knowing you, Jerry, it probably didn't want you in. But it's good to see you in there, Jerry. Jerry's had some health issues these last few years, and he's really been struggling. But it is really, really great to see him out there in the chat.
Yeah.
He's been on the show. He's a good friend of mine, and like I said, he's had some health issues, but I'm glad things are turning up for you. He's actually, I saw him post, he's actually got like a back porch, and on his house, I guess, and he is turning it into a woodworking where he can start woodworking again. So that's pretty cool.
Nice.
And then Mike Moore says hello from Seiko. Mike, it works with don't trying to think of his name, Ray Seymour, which owns Seiko scroll saws. So he lives in Geneva, Illinois. Oh no, that's Jeff Walsman. He's here. He lives in Geneva, Illinois. Anyway, but Mike works with Ray Seymour at Seiko scroll saws. It's good to have him out there. I love my Seiko scroll saw, man. That ST21, that is the bomb. So who else was in there on? And then Gerald Vance. He's out there.
Lost Al. Where'd Al go?
I noticed we lost Al. I saw that. He dropped out. Gerald Vance is out there on Facebook. He says he's from West Virginia. So he says Jerry's machine, that's still Jerry Blakesley. He said had to come over here on YouTube. Facebook chat was screwing up. Okay. Cool. Leonard Davis is out there also. All right. So Paul
Corliss from Paul's Messy Workshop. You can find me on YouTube, on Instagram. You can find me right here. And Jim, the reason you're first is because Brenda didn't show up, and Russ always lets Brenda in first because he likes her the best.
Well, she's a lady. She's supposed to be first.
Okay.
So what's your
Are
point?
we talking about the same Brenda?
I didn't want to say that.
Now, dude, you know she's going to watch this.
Just remember, she might be watching.
Yeah.
I had to make up,
Or she
I had
might
to make up
watch
for that lame start.
She might watch the replay, and you might catch hell next week.
That's right. I will never say anything bad about Brenda.
Yeah. So.
Al, what's going
all
on
right.
here?
Last but not least, it
Al's
is
back. Al's back.
Chris. Yeah, I
Al's
already
back.
let him in.
All right.
Chris.
Again, Chris here from the Old Cranky Workshop. You'll find me on Facebook and YouTube, and now at the beach. So,
And now at the beach. Cool.
thanks to the work of our guests.
There you go.
Great. And then we have Mr. Al Forte.
He has no audio.
No audio.
Oh, he has no audio. Well, okay.
Yeah, he's somehow more enjoyable this way.
Yeah, a whole lot
wasn't gonna
more
say
enjoyable. Maybe it won't come back on for the rest of the show, and we'll all have some peace and quiet.
I hear a reboot coming.
Yeah. All right. So, Al, when you get audio, speak up and let us know, because right now we can't hear you. Thank God. Anyway, we have Ben. Ben, how you doing?
Here.
Doing really well. Thank y'all for having me. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. We can hear you.
Good. I don't have
So you're
the
doing
best,
good.
I don't have the best audio equipment. I'm like most non-entrepreneur, if that makes sense. Like, I just get by, and all this is just like fell into my lap. It's been crazy.
Right. What kind of camera? You have a Logitech camera?
I do.
Yes. Those are not the mics on those aren't too terribly bad. You just have to kind of like raise your voice a little bit, but they're not too terribly bad. I did a whole show one night and didn't realize that I was using the camera mic rather than my big microphone, this Blue Yeti. And I listened to it and I'm like, something just don't sound right. And then I would come back out here and check, and sure enough, I had somehow got changed to the camera microphone rather than my big microphone. So, but they do pretty good. And yes, we can hear you. And your video is really good. Got great video quality.
Yeah, we've had some terrible ones. This is great.
Yeah. So, what got you what got you started your idea of making these, I would call them off-road wheelchairs? What led you to start that project or that business?
Yeah, that's a great way to describe them. It's really meant for tackling terrain that's uneven. So when I got paralyzed 12 years ago from the chest down, I would take my dog to the river and exercise before I got paralyzed. And when I started doing that again, I was slapped in the face with how much my wheelchair was holding me back. And so a basic wheelchair is a rigid frame with small tires on the front, no suspension. And I thought, man, you can go to Walmart and buy a mountain bike for $200. It has full suspension, disc brakes, looks cool. It's the same thing. It's just built different. But wheelchair manufacturers want $3,000 for the same thing. You have to wait 6 to 9 months to get it if your insurance approves it.
Yeah.
And there was nobody doing any innovation. So I went to Home Depot. I went to Lowe's. I became obsessed with how I could make my wheelchair go where I wanted it to go. I eventually taught myself how to weld. Then I went to college for it.
Cool.
And then they asked me, do you want to do a competition against other tech schools with this idea? I did it. And 2 years later, I've made over 200 of them and sold them all over America.
Wow.
And it's been crazy. I'm in school to be a teacher right now. So this is just something I do to help people.
Awesome.
But yeah, they've got a 4-link suspension system. It's awesome. It's really awesome there. I've got videos of just going through wherever I want to go, and it's opened up a lot of worlds.
Right. Ben, can you tilt your camera down just a little bit? Because we're only seeing you from your nose up.
Yeah, it looked like Kilroy.
That's how I like to be seen.
Hey,
You guys don't-
that's my bag. That's my bag. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's
What
kind
kind
of
of
funny when
contest?
this is all
Yeah,
we're seeing
that's
of you.
What kind of contest was it between the schools that you had? Was it
So-
for a product, or was it like an idea thing or a maker thing?
It was a product for any technical college undergraduate student at any college in Georgia that was a technical college. And it was awesome. We went to PBS Studios in Atlanta, and it was just me, and then all the other. There was 20 different groups of students, and we went through one round of judging. 5 of us got picked, and then the 5 of us went on live TV against contestants that were also, we were all battled it out in front of 3 judges that were entrepreneurs. And I won 2nd place and the People's Choice Award. And I walked away with, I rolled away with $25,000. Yeah. And
Wow.
Did you say $25,000?
yeah, cash.
Nice.
Now, did
So-
you use some of that money to get you started in building the wheelchairs?
I used it all. So before I went to the competition, I enrolled into the technical college where I live for welding because I had eventually learned about conduit. And before I learned about conduit, I just happened to run into an old electrician one day who was like, "Hey, do you know about conduit?" Because he saw I was building my own chairs. I used to take old ones and take them apart, nut and bolt them back together. So I learned about conduit. I lost where I was, but that happens a lot.
On
I breathe a lot
the
of-
conduits. So, are your chairs to this day made from conduit?
They are. It's 3/4 inch EMT.
Right. Oh, so all right. To weld those, you use a MIG, right?
It is, yes. Gasless flux core.
Oh, you use gasless flux core. How come you don't use a gas core with a MIG?
It gets the job done.
Okay.
Do you have,
It's cheaper, right?
do you have to clean it up afterwards? Because the gas actually envelops the weld so that you
Right.
don't have to clean as much, but the flux you have to chip away. Do you have to chip away at that?
I cover it all with Rust-Oleum. As soon as I'm telling you, Like I said, I get, yeah, it's
That works.
as soon as it's cheap. I get it out the door, and it's strong. I don't
As long as it
care
tastes
about the
good.
looks. I make it look as good as I can. It's about the performance. It's a strong piece of equipment.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's how it all got started. Back to your original question. I took that money, and the most expensive piece of material, the one thing I don't manufacture is the wheel. So I bought a bulk supply of wheels from California, and I had everybody already lined up. Like every piece of material I needed to make this wheelchair from the ground up, I had my contacts ready. I outsourced the spring company. I just go to my local electrical supply place for the conduit. I go to Harbor Freight for the front tires.
I'll refrain
that was it.
that. Yes.
I thought I had seen them somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I spent it all on the business, all on inventory, and
Nice.
a company reached out to me and said, "We'll build you a website because we see you're doing this to help people," and they did. And as soon as I went live with it, the orders have never stopped.
Man, that's awesome.
Cool.
And that's the one thing. The orders have never stopped. That's what keeps things going great. Yeah. You know that it's affecting people, reaching people, and making a difference.
Yeah.
You have one, Chris, don't you? Isn't that the one you showed on the?
Yeah, I just got it 2 weeks ago, and we've been busy since I picked it up, and I only got a chance to get to the beach today and test it out. It's a different. I got to do a little more muscle work than I'm used to in my regular chair, where there's no barriers slowing me down. So. But that's my own problem because over the past year I've got a little fat, dumb, and happy.
Well, in that video, part of your problem that you were having today is when you get in that damn soft sand, even walking in soft sand's hard because your feet go down in it. So
yeah, I had a lot of people making comments. Oh, you're going to give me a shove? Like, no. The point is, I need to be able to traverse this myself.
Right.
And I was getting through. It was just not fast. But you know what? As I get more used to using it, I'm going to pick up the pace some. So,
yeah, I noticed that once you got up toward the shore where the sand was wet and was harder or compacted, you didn't have any problems.
I was moving a little quicker, So
and
then we had to bail out because my wife, who was videoing, her feet were burning in the sand, so we had to call it quits.
I see so many people walk out there without shoes and they step on that sand and they go, ow, ow, ooh, ooh, ow. And I'm like, yeah, you dumb. You got to wear flip flops or something, or sandals or something when you're walking. That sand gets hot. Now, as it gets toward the water, it's not too hot, but out there in that open, it's hot.
It's a hard pack down there, so I can move faster.
Now, how much does one of those chairs weigh?
Go ahead, Ben. That's you.
It's 30 pounds with the tires on it.
Now, does it fold up?
It does not. It's all one solid piece.
Yeah.
You can take the rear wheels off with a 3/4 inch socket and a cotter pin to take the front tires off.
Cool. Now the back tires.
I would like to make it to where it all folds up. But I'd have to start fabricating all these little parts. And like I was telling y'all before, I'm like, I'm going to be a school teacher. I just do this to help people. Like, if somebody wants to figure out how to do all that stuff and do it without making money like I'm doing it, I just do this to help people. Hey, go for it. It's a lot of
Russ, Al wants in.
Oh,
Russ.
How come you keep dropping out, Mr. Al?
Well, I'll be honest. I don't know the time before. This time I actually closed it. What I was looking for is a website for Ben, and I found a newsreel that Chris had sent me, and I was looking at it, but I closed out the tab. So this time it was my fault. I don't know what happened earlier, but I'm going to go ahead and put out in the chat a newsreel or a newscast for Ben. So if everybody wants to look at it, and I apologize for dropping out. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
They have a question.
The tires, all four tires, the back and the front tires have air in them, right? correct?
Correct. They're pneumatic. Yep.
Yeah, pneumatic. That's what I thought. Yeah.
We have a question out in the chat. Somebody wants to know, how does it work in the snow?
Awesome.
Works awesome.
I've got a guy, Lauren Parker. You can look up on Facebook. I've sold a few to people up north, but he's a fur trapper, and immediately he was out in some soft stuff. Now, I mean, it's physics. If the snow is real deep, you're probably going to catch some drag. But the way this chair is designed versus any other mobility device, it's got big tires. It's going to sit up on top of stuff, and your weight is behind the front tires versus the tires being behind your feet like a normal chair. So it sits up on top of stuff like a Jeep. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, Jerry said he gets stuck in his chair everywhere he goes, so it makes him never want to go outside. Well, Jerry, you ought to get with Ben and see about getting one of these chairs.
It's funny. He actually said that in the chat later. He said, I'd like to have a chat with Ben one of these days. He'd like to.
Yeah, I saw that. I was going back just a little bit because I read this. He said he got stuck in his yard last summer for almost 6 hours before anybody found him, and he was dehydrated and he had to go to the hospital. Wow.
Yeah, that's an issue.
I'm putting Ben's website out there too, by the way, so it's also out there.
When I got paralyzed, this is what I came into. Like, I saw that wheelchairs like baby strollers and mountain bikes had taken this leap with technology. But because wheelchairs weren't mass produced, there hasn't been that boom. And it wasn't even until like 1990 that the ADA was even created. So if you look at it was 1950 when segregation happened. It took 50 years to have a black president. Wheelchairs were just recognized in 1990. So to me, there hasn't been that we've been to the moon, but wheelchairs have really got left behind. So I came into that and was like, oh my God, you can make wheelchairs in people's lives so much better if they were built just a little different. But nobody was doing it. And still nobody is for an affordable price. You can find independent guys that do what I'm doing for $10,000.
Wow.
But most people on disability are surviving off $700 a month.
Yep.
Right.
So there's a huge gap that's not been bridged, and I put in a Shark Tank application about a month ago, so hopefully that comes through. Because
that'd be cool. Keep us informed.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, definitely.
Real quick, Jerry Blake. His name's Jerry Blakesley Ben, and he also goes by Jerry's Machines, but it's Jerry Blakesley on Facebook. Jerry, send Ben he's on Facebook under his name right there, Ben Huntzinger. Send Ben a friend request, and Ben will accept it, and you can chat with him on Facebook. So yeah, Jerry Blakesley, Ben, look out for his friend request. He's a real great guy. He's been on the show. He's had some health issues here the last several years, so it's really got him. I know it's got him both physically. He's got physical problems, but I know it also works on him mentally. I understand that. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind, because Jerry was one of these guys that did everything. I mean, he worked. He moved. I saw him move a house one time. Yeah, he moved a house almost by himself. I mean, he had a company come in and jack it up and put it on the truck and everything and move it, but he actually basically cut the house in half by himself to get it to move. So he was a heck of a guy, and to know him the way he was and to see him the way he is now is like, it's just, I know it's got to work on him mentally. And Jerry, I tell you what, I am so very proud that you're trying. I saw you starting back into trying to get into woodworking, and I'm very happy that you're trying to do that and occupy your brain and your mind. So
yeah,
The other thing about Jerry is, out of the whole group that we always hang out with, he's probably got the most inventive and intelligent mechanical engineering mind out of all of us. So
yes, he and that's the reason I want him to get with Ben, because he is very good at coming up with things and ways to do things. Yeah, he's got a very good mechanical type mind. Jerry says the chairs need to be able to get over obstacles due to the lack of handicap compliance. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I should have recorded it today. We dropped it over a curb today without a problem. So, but the camera had been put away at that point. We weren't expecting to run into that curb. So
Leonard Davis says, Ben, I saw in the video you were going over the rocks, had your fishing pole in your mouth. Have you modified to the chain or the chair for the fishing pole and a tackle box yet?
No, I don't catch any fish when I go, so I get real hungry.
So just put like a cooler box shelf on the bottom of it or something.
There's worm guts all over my fishing rod handle. I hold it in my mouth to spare me till I get back home. No, I have 1.5 inch conduit that I can weld onto the back of my chair. It costs $30 a stick. So my very first one, I have been using PVC with zip ties, but I got to show you guys this video too. Like, I've got a Jeep Wrangler and I cut the roll bar off the back and I just reach over and grab my chair and throw it in the back so I don't have to wait on a crane or take my chair apart, So the PVC rod holders that I have used before, they always get busted off. The zip ties, they get in the way. But recently I got asked to build a chair for a kid that lives in Minnesota by a group called Kids Can Fish. They're on Facebook. And anyways, he's going to be the first recipient of the 1.5 inch conduit welded on rod holder. But yeah, I can make rod holders. I make gun racks. I used to have a gun rack on the front of my chair, but every time I would move, like from my chair to bed, chair to my Jeep, my pants would get caught on the gun rack, so I cut it off. But yeah.
All right, Jerry said that he sent your friend request, Ben. He said, I can see some awesome things in the future. Let's see, who was it? Aussie Man. Bill wants to know, have you ever considered a motorized version of your chair for people with weak upper body strength?
Yes, absolutely. Especially where lithium batteries are now. They're so much lighter than what has been designed. That's another one. Like, motorized wheelchairs are $30,000. Like,
yeah,
it's crazy. So yes, I have thought about it. Have I had time? No. All I have done is build wheelchairs every day for 2 years since this has started and do school full time. So, like,
just every day.
It's been nuts. But I absolutely, the guy I built on a friend's farm in his shop, and he's actually in a motorized chair, uses one, and man, there could be a lot of innovation in this whole realm of mobility devices that are end user friendly, like the weight difference, the price. So yes, to answer the question, the thought has been on my mind for many years now. Have I done it? No. But if I can grow my business to where I have employees and I'm starting to develop other models of things, yes. The materials are already out there and mass produced in other areas like baby strollers, mountain bikes, go-karts. They all have mass-produced sprockets and stuff, that marine batteries, to where I can pull it all together and make something. So I hope the day will come.
Yeah, you can buy motorizing kits for just about anything now. Bikes, carts.
Yeah. Question for you. Have you seen an increase in the stuff that you use, like ENT conduit, in price, along with lumber's just went skyrocket it's gone crazy. Have you seen an increase in the price on your materials?
I have.
How much?
Actually, percentage-wise, I don't know what it would boil down to. I pay about $20 more for my bundles of conduit per 100 feet, and the hot roll 5/8 and 1/2 inch that I use for the axles have gone up as well. And I would imagine it's the exact same percentage because it's steel too, but it's all, I mean, $20 for each thing. It's, $60 increase is not, it's not killing me. I'm glad I don't make them out of wood. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
You'd have to go get a
we got
loan.
some projects that my wife wants me to do around the house, and I want to do too. And I want to screen in our back porch. I've been wanting to do that for a few years now. And I told her the other day that everything as far as projects that involve wood is on hold from now on until these prices come down. Because I could buy a 2x4 around $3, give or take a few. They went up to like $3.20 something at one time. And now they're like $8 and $9 a piece, and I'm like, I'm not paying $9 for a dead burn 2x4. You can forget it. So I know my son is in construction. He's a supervisor for housing and for a company. And I was talking to him the other day, and I asked him. I said, "Hey, Cameron," I said, with the price of lumber, how in the heck are y'all still building houses? He said, "What?" He says, "It goes to the cost of the house." He goes, "Let's put it this way. A house that used to sell for $80,000 about 4 or 5 months ago is now selling for $120,000.
Yep.
And I said, "Wow." He goes, "Yep, and he says, "Guess what? They're still buying them as fast as we can build them." So,
yeah.
What choice do you have?
Yeah.
True.
Ben, you said you had some pictures. You want to do that screen share so we can see and you can talk about your pictures?
Yeah, absolutely. Coming right up.
Hey, while you're pulling those up, how much conduit do you use in like one of the chairs?
4 hours.
Like, how many feet of conduit though do you use?
Oh, feet of conduit. It really depends. So, can you guys see this picture?
Yeah.
Yes, we can see it.
All right. So the way that I calibrate how I make a chair is by somebody's seat cushion size, their height, and their weight. So, for example, if the seat cushion is 16 inches by 16 inches, I can get away with making the whole chair out of 3 sticks, so 30 feet. But if somebody's seat cushion is 20 inches by 20 inches, you're using more material per chair, which really isn't much. You might be a half a stick, maybe more per chair, a half a stick less. There's usually 3 sticks a chair. So I was ready a second ago until you guys asked me to pull it up, and now
You're doing fine.
All right, we'll sit off to the side and shut up.
I've got it set up to where I can, here we go. Okay. Here is my bender. I've got an industrial grade bender. I found it on like Craigslist kind of marketplace. This guy had it in a warehouse. That's like a $5,000 piece of equipment. I got it for $600. The only thing wrong with
it is. Yeah.
It's a conduit bender basically.
Yep.
High performance. So I take and I bend my 10-foot stick of metal, and this is in a garage. This is in a 2-car garage on a pecan farm. No AC. It gets hot as Hades running my welder in here, but yeah.
Hey, just so you know, if any of those trees fall down, there's some of us here on the panel that would want them.
Yeah.
We'll come pick it up.
Yeah, we'll come to you.
And you noticed he called them pecan rather than pecan.
Pecan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want the wood. I'm not picking on the way he says it.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, sorry.
There's limbs that fall all the time. If you guys are near Southwest Georgia, no problem. So I take and I measure 8 inches in and mark on each tube, and I bend it, and then I bring it from that side of the shop over to my table here. This is my table. This is where I build them all. It's a homemade table. So that's 2 sticks. All right. And hold on. Yep. Here we go. I take the 2 sticks and like I'll take and cut 5 different pieces, whatever width somebody's seat cushion is. And then I've got a couple of formulas that lead me to where I put the sticks all in a line. So that's 2 sticks bent. I got 3 on one side, 2 on the other. I lay them together. I tack weld it, get it all squared nice, and then re-weld it all. Okay. And I built these for 400-pound guys. Like, they're strong. They're really strong.
That would be like for Russ's size.
Yeah, bring it on, Russ. I got you, man. So then I take these coil springs after I get it all squared up, and I take 2 grade 8 bolts. I put the springs on. I cut the heads of the bolts off, and I take a 1/2 inch hot roll rod and make an axle. All right. That's the, before I make the axle. And this is all stuff that like I figured out on the way of just building my own wheelchairs for myself. I figured out what compression rate springs to use. Like, I used to order just crazy parts off of eBay until I eventually got it right. And then when I won that money in the competition, I had a spring manufacturer lined up that would give them to me for $10 each.
Nice. So that's what I was going to ask. Where do you get the springs? But that answered that right there.
Yeah, it's a guy in Kentucky, JB Spring Company.
I thought you pulled them off the Volkswagen Beetle.
Man, I used to.
Or Brendan's van.
Yeah, Brenda's
van. I was so obsessed.
All right, guys, let him finish. Come on.
All right. Okay.
I couldn't go into anywhere for a couple years after my accident without looking at stuff and thinking, all right, I could use that. I could use that. Like any wheel anywhere, I still to this day look at it and analyze it like, ooh, would that work? No, it wouldn't work. So I got to the point of I just figured all this stuff out. And what I was going to say is the springs are about the size of a Coke can. The compression rate is good enough to where I can use them for a kid or a 400-pound guy. I just put a 5/8 rod instead of a 1/2 inch. So that's what the axle looks like, completely done. I take a quarter.
Jerry wants to know if you're welding the springs to the chair.
I am, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I take a piece of 5/16 rod and make a control arm there so the axle doesn't pitch forward. Let's see here. And this is how I make the backrest. And the height of the backrest depends on somebody's injury level or their height, their weight, stuff like that. I brace it with 2. Now, this is another great example of like I could take the time to fit those tubes right there, but it's for the price I'm selling it, for me not making money. I do this. It's an effective way. It works. I know it works because I beat the snot out of my chair and it stays together. So I know it works. So I don't care about the aesthetics as much as like, I could if I really wanted to, but that's one of those things that anyways. So this is how I do the front axle. I take a 5/8 rod, depending on somebody's leg length, I'll cut it to their height, and that's what the foot plate looks like, all done. And then I put a backrest on it. And, there's a picture from my girlfriend. And then at this point, it had been hot in the shop, and I completely forgot to do more pictures after this point. It hit me today. I was like, oh. So I don't know if breathing all this galvanized stuff in is the best thing for me. I got a big fan, but I've been told not. So anyways,
Yeah, it's not real good to breathe it in.
Yeah, galvanized is not good. It produces some gas that is so you need to get lots of ventilation in that shop, my friend, because it will mess up with your lungs.
Right. That's what I hear.
Yeah.
I can only imagine how hot his shop is the day we swung through on the way back from Tennessee to pick up mine. It was like a billion degrees. I wanted to get back in the AC car as fast as possible. So
yeah,
I can imagine what that shop felt like. So.
Yeah, last week this week, the beginning of the week, we had temperatures with a heat index of 104 at one point here in Florida. So yeah, it was really hot.
You can get some
pretty. So that's pretty good. And then you just naturally, and you say you use just Rust-Oleum spray paint on them.
Yeah, I don't even I don't brush the slag off, nothing, man. I'll take it straight from the workbench to a wagon that I've painted 200 of them on. It's the best, most reliable tool I've got. I found it at my friend's farm and was like, hey, I'll put some air in these tires and use this bad boy. And I paint it. I put it on a pallet, and I call my semi-truck driver. I ship with a ground freight company, and I can ship them. I've shipped them to Washington State, to Canada. International shipping is crazy, though. They want you to make all these crazy boxes and crates, and I'm like, I'm not doing all that. So, but I have people contact me from all over the world, especially South Africa. So hopefully one day I can produce internationally and get them to places that people need them.
You know,
sounds like a franchise.
You contact the State Department; they might be able to work out something, because South Africa is a place where we're working hard to help bring them into, code with everything else. A more modern society. So they might be able to help you with shipping a bit. So it's a might. I can't say they will, but it's a might. So. Just
as a warning, Ben. Now we're not, but Jerry's machine says, Jerry Blakeslee says it'll wreck your lungs. He's has breathing issues right now from so many years of welding galvanized metal. So I think you really need. Yeah, you really need to consider. Just make sure you got good ventilation. That's all you got to do. As long as you got a big fan or whatever.
I go into the steel mills for work, and we go into these big hot dip galvanized plants, and they have like 80-inch wide sheets of hot rolled steel that come up through a tank full of molten galvanizing material, and then it goes up into the ceiling to cool off or whatever. But those things have huge induced draft fans on them. But so before they put those fans on, like the older guys in the mill, they would be in there. Their lungs would be ruined. They'd retire in their 50s and die 2 or 3 years after they retire. It just, that stuff is nasty.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Yep. That and
now,
pickle
do you make
lines
the
are
cushions
horrible.
and everything, Ben?
The cushion is the only thing I don't supply.
Yeah.
I build it to a person's seat cushion that they have already on their normal wheelchair.
Right.
But I can direct people to eBay. You can buy a seat cushion there for $20 or $30, depending on what level of skin protection you need.
Yeah, they're fairly. If you get them off Amazon or eBay, they're a whole lot cheaper than going through a medical supply place. Right away, you just multiply the price by like 50. So.
Yeah, they're a lot cheaper. I guarantee you they are.
Good. Anyways, I was gonna say I use a Roho cushion. It's an inflatable, and I remember when I looked at the price on the vendor I usually use. I won't name him. I said, "Yikes, that's an expensive cushion." And then, just out of curiosity, I put the exact same stock number on Amazon, and it was like $30. Like, really? Okay. So,
Ben, how much do you charge for your chairs?
$750 plus shipping.
$750 plus shipping. Cool.
What's a normal shipping charge run, Ben?
anywhere in the Southeast, if they go to a business address, it's $116. Residential, it's plus 90. So if somebody can get it to a business that has a dock or somewhere a semi truck can pull in, to go from Georgia to Washington State is $400. Same with California.
Wow.
So it comes down from there all the way back to Georgia. So I've shipped it to Texas for 150. So it just varies. And I just tell people to send me their zip, and I'll get them a shipping cost immediately through my shipper on their website, and so I can let them know.
Cool. Now, do you have like a PayPal account or a GoFundMe or anything where people can send you money?
I go through PayPal. There's when somebody clicks buy now on my website, I take $375 for a deposit. I build it, and then when I ship it, they pay me the rest plus the shipping.
Right. Yeah, but I'm talking about if somebody wants to donate, like let's just say I wanted to send you $100 to help you build chairs. Do you use the PayPal also for that?
You could. Yeah.
So if anybody out there sees his cause and would like to send him some extra money to help him with the buying the materials for these wheelchairs, it's on your PayPal is on your website.
I'll put it in the chat, but it's Benjamin Huntzinger at hotmail.com. That's my PayPal.
Okay.
If anybody wants to.
That is on his website.
Yes.
Your email is on your website, and I had placed the website earlier. I'm going to place it again.
Yeah, go ahead and place it again so everybody can see that. So if y'all would like out there or are listening and you have a couple of bucks extra to spare, you can send him money through PayPal. It's called PayPal Me. That's what it's actually called. You can send him some extra money for donations to help him buy the metal and stuff that he needs to make these chairs.
Yeah.
So that would be great.
I mean, even at the price Ben's selling them, it's a great bargain. I mean, I know what my titanium chair I'm sitting on right now costs. If my racing chair broke or disappeared tomorrow, that's $2,000 to $3,000 out of my pocket immediately. It's not even covered by insurance. So there's a reason why I'm overly protective of my racer. So, and it's almost 30 years old. Again, what you were talking about, how little progression has happened in wheelchairs. So,
right.
It's a 30-year-old chair. It's still on the circuit. It's still working. I am getting beat by the guys who are pushing the carbon fiber frames, though. So those things are feather light. They're crazy light. But
so what's the big difference between one of Ben's chairs and one of your older racing chairs?
Well, first of all, the racer's got 3 wheels.
Okay.
So
all right.
It's used for a completely different animal. It's for racing. It's not for going through rough terrain. I mean, I've gone over a couple of huge bumps in the racer, and I immediately worried about cracking in the frame to the point I slowed down. So
wow. Okay.
Yeah. His wheelchairs will pull a canoe. I was watching one of the videos.
Yeah, I saw that. He was pulling.
That's awesome.
This is built. I said the conduit. My racer is built out of aircraft aluminum.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good though. I'm just amazed that you thought about it, and especially with conduit. I would have never thought conduit. I mean, and I've used conduit to build things before and welded it. I have a MIG, so I use it with air. In other words, or we're not with air, with what's
CO2.
the gas?
CO2
No, it's
nitrogen
not CO2
or something.
It's not carbon dioxide.
No, and I use I can't think of the name. Argon. Yeah, that's what I use. Yeah, I use argon on mine, and it makes a lot of difference.
Sorry, Russ.
It makes a lot of difference, trust me. But and the reason I got the MIG is because when I was building race cars, we were making our own fenders and door panels out of real thin metal, and a stick weld will just burn right through it. So the MIG was the only you can turn a MIG down and weld real thin metal, and you can weld ENT conduit. So that's another word. another one that's good for that.
Yeah.
What I was going to ask you, Ben, is have you thought about any way to design a caster front end?
Yes, I went to Tractor Supply and spent $1.50 on the material I need to make. So most wheelchairs, the front wheels spin 360 degrees, and it makes a caster. Me, when I started making mine, I sacrificed that for the simplicity of the way mine are made. Mine are on a fixed front tire. They don't spin. You have to pop the front tires up, and you get good at it and stuff, and it works pretty good when you're on uneven terrain. You're not losing forward momentum because your front tires are trying to go other ways. But anyways,
right,
for
they
people that
get
have
turned between. They could get turned between two rocks where yours can't because they're fixed.
Exactly. But for people that have low hand dexterity or higher injury levels than mine, that need something that has a spinning front wheel, I need to make something like that. And the problem that I've run into is I can't go buy a fork that houses a 10-inch by 3-inch front tire off the shelf that's not 5 pounds. Harbor Freight has one, but it's not practical for what I use it for. So I'm going to have to fabricate my own fork to hold that 10-inch by 3-inch tire. Then I have to mount fork arms that come off of the chair in a front direction to be able to make them spin. So they've got to be out at least 9 inches to make that front tire turn. Then you have to deal with the bearings. You have to make it be able to spin. So there's a lot more to it. And like I said, I graduate next spring, and good God, I'm so ready to have some innovation time other than just building chairs, because there's a lot more that can be advanced. And I don't know. The day will come. It's not going to take me but a couple tries to where I can figure out how to make one, and it's going to have a turning front wheel. I just gotta do it. It's doable.
Right.
We've been to the moon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Jerry,
my racing chair was built by Bob Hall, who was the first guy in wheelchairs at the Boston Marathon. And it wasn't until 10, 15 years into building racing chairs, he went off into ski equipment and hand cycles and all kinds of basketball chairs. Oh, I had a basketball chair his too. So yeah, you're right. It takes time. You need that time of not going to school every day and the every other day stuff that gets in our way. So I think you'll get that. I think you're on the right track.
Thank you. I kind of feel like it's just a matter of time before it happens, and everything's falling into place.
Yep.
I guess.
Yeah, Jerry pointed out that it's not actually straight argon. It's an argon mix because straight argon's used on aluminum. It's an argon mix. I don't know what I take the bottle to the welding place and drop it off and pick up another one and bring it home and pick it up.
Yeah.
Yep. That's how much I know about it. Okay. It works, and that's all I need to know.
See, I take my stuff to the welding place and say, weld this for me. So
now I learned to weld. I started welding when I was young, and it saved me a ton of money. Trust me. Your lawnmower deck breaks, you weld it up and keep right on going. I mean,
yeah,
I learned on it. Yeah, I learned on a stick welder back in the day because the MIGs were just not available except in certain circumstances in industry. You didn't see them in the homes and stuff. And my first MIG, boy, that was a different species. Trust me, trying to get used to learn that. You pull the trigger and that stuff takes off out of the gun. It's like, what the heck?
You know,
I used to run it out about 6. I said I used to run it out about 6 inches and just touch it to the thing just to watch the metal light up.
When I first got started building these things, I was doing it on the back of my truck in my front and out in the driveway. And I had a $100 welder from Harbor Freight and knew nothing about welding. I just turned YouTube on and was like, all right, I'm going to do what that guy says and we'll see what happens. And, you know, I did that for a while. And then I finally got a better welder. And it makes a big difference. If anybody's out there tinkering, good welders make a big difference.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, you got to learn somewhere. You know, it's best to learn on the cheap equipment because you're going to screw it up. I'd rather break the cheap tool than the expensive tool.
You know something pretty interesting? The reason this whole thing happened, other than me being interested in doing it and chasing a dream, when I enrolled at that tech school, I went into their marketing department the day I enrolled and said, look, I want to learn how to build wheelchairs better. That's why I'm here. I'm taking welding. If there's anything that you guys can do as a college to help me, you guys can have all the credit, the wheelchair, the whole thing. If I hadn't have done that, so about 2 months later, one of the marketing girls got an email from the state that said, if you have a student with an invention, please let us know. If I hadn't went into there just being gung-ho about the whole idea, none of this would have happened the way it happened.
Wow.
So just that one thing, I'll never forget, and I always tell those girls, you know, it's because of you guys.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty cool part of the whole, how it all came down.
Have you pulled a patent on this design?
No, because everybody's like, it's so 50-50. A lot of people are like, protect your intellectual property. But then when I talk to the patent attorneys, they're like, look, man, unless you're making these things and making millions, you're wasting your money, because all somebody has to do is make it a little bit different and they can go right around it. So So what I've learned, if I go to Shark Tank and I get investors and we start playing ball with big money as far as the products and pumping them out like mountain bikes, and then it'll be time, I think, to
I agree. And they are right. They can change the design on the springs and that's enough a difference that they're not using your patent, so to speak. So
yeah, that's true.
That's how China gets away with it. They just change a few things, and you know they manufacture the same thing the U.S. company's making, and manufacture it a whole lot cheap because they have slave labor, and ship it over here and sell it and put the company out of business. So
yeah. No, but I think it's great. I mean, I found you just from sitting on the laptop one night while watching TV and surfing around the web, and stumbled across it and like, crap, this could be the solution to the beach problem. And then I saw the price, like, whoa, he's definitely speaking my language. So, because I'm a big fan of free to cheap, and that's my price range. So
more money for beer.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There you go, Jim. Got it right on ahead.
Yeah, I think I really I'm glad Chris got talked to you and got you to come on tonight. This is really fantastic. I mean, for people that are out there, for you to be able to do this and make it where that it's actually affordable for them to be able to do things. I was impressed. I watched some of and saw some of the pictures and watched some of the video that you. How you were pulling your canoe with it, you were going fishing with it, and all kind of other different things on that wheelchair. So I thought, like, wow, that's really, really awesome, because I don't think I've ever seen anybody do anything like that before. Right. So,
and once again, I'm enjoying it so far. So
the way that wheelchairs were built before now, you have a mechanical disadvantage when you're in your chair. So just changing that to mechanical advantage, and you can change the way the world operates using a chair.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Now, do you you're capable of driving your truck?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you have hand controls. Yeah, hand controls. Yes. My son-in-law's grandmother had a disability, and she was in a she couldn't use a wheelchair. Her hands were too weak. She had to have a mobility scooter, and she drove a van which had a lift so that she could get in the van. But she had hand controls for her brakes and throttle and everything, and I used to love to watch her. She'd get in that van and take off, boy. She's gone. Get in her scooter, and she'd go eat lunch at a restaurant. She'd be in Walmart shopping and everything. It didn't slow her down. She was on the go, buddy.
All right, Russell, how many times you sat in that driver's seat and played with it?
Only once, and the only reason because she was having some problems with it and asked me if I would look at it and see if I could fix it, because I'm pretty good at fixing things. And one of the bolts, and you couldn't tell it. You had to get up underneath the dash. One of the bolts had worked its way loose and come loose, and it was putting the levers in a bind. And it didn't even have a lock washer or a lock nut. And so I went down and got a lock nut and brought it back and put the lock nut on it, and so it wouldn't work its way loose again. But it was pretty cool. I mean, the brake you pull down, and the throttle was like a throttle for the brake on a motorcycle. Yeah. You pull back on that lever like you would pull the brakes on a motorcycle, and that increased the throttle. And then you pulled the lever down, and that put on the brakes.
Yep.
So it was fun to watch.
I had those. I never liked them, but I know the type you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, and then she had a lift. The doors, she'd push a button, the doors opened automatically, the lift went out, and she rolled up on it, and it went down to the ground, and she folded it back up. After she came out of Walmart, she'd push a button, it came back out, and put her back in the van, and she was off and going.
Yep.
So
we have a company over here by me in Wabash, Indiana, that makes those lifts and all of that stuff for vans. So it's kind of funny when you drive by there, there's like a million like Plymouth minivans and stuff like that in the parking lot. And these guys just bring them in and they rip everything out and put all the modifications in them and ship them back out to people.
Yeah.
And it's out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
Ben, this is not me. This is them. We do a thing called shop confessions, okay? And what that is tell us something that when you were working on some of these wheelchairs or something you did that after you did it, you were like, what the hell did I do that for? Like, and if it's got blood or broken members or stuff like that, or broken arms or fingers, that's even better. They kind of like this stuff out there. So you got a shop confession you want to tell us about?
Oh man,
there's been so many.
Yeah, right. Let me think back here.
Sorry, Ben, I couldn't give you a heads up. You have to be surprised on this one. So
I was thinking about this recently because I happened to look at the scar and it reminded me of it. But when I was paralyzed from the chest down, I can't feel from my chest down. And when I first started building the front axles, I was welding and put a front axle on, and then I was out in the front driveway, and then I set that bar up on my knee after I'd been welding on it, and that I didn't feel that it was scorching hot. And then
did you smell bacon
later on? And I saw this wet spot on my knee, and I pulled my pants up and realized, whoops. It was definitely what do you call it? A stage 3 or whatever. It was deep.
A third-degree burn. Yeah. It was third degree? Yeah. Wow.
I don't know. I don't know, honestly, but
it felt that way, I bet.
I couldn't feel
it. It didn't feel that way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, a third-degree burn's a nasty burn. Yeah. Yeah, that's a nasty burn.
Yeah, that's a good one, though.
That's the first thing that comes to mind. I don't know.
Oh, that's good enough right there. I mean, yeah, that's good enough.
That's
Wow.
a good one.
I would have thought you'd have started. I'm not trying to make light of this, but I would have thought you'd have seen the smoke and realized it was burning.
It happened so long ago, I can't remember exactly how it all went down. I just remember that my knee was trashed. I had something happen not long ago that was sort of similar, and it is a nasty scar. I was, and this is not related to the wheelchair, but it was happened at the shop. I was gutting the catalytic converter on my truck to make it sound better. And have you guys ever done that?
No, but I know about it.
Okay. And I probably should. Is this being recorded? Because I didn't do it.
Yes, it is being recorded.
Yes, it is being recorded. So you might want to think twice about that.
This is totally hypothetical, Ben.
He was just playing around with the catalytic converter to see what was inside.
Yeah. I had a buddy.
If I had been doing that, this is what would have happened.
Is this why Brenda's not here today? Because he went and appropriated a catalytic converter from another van? No.
Yeah, you sure you didn't get Brenda's catalytic converter?
To get a backstory, Ben, our friend Brenda had her catalytic converter stolen. So
just messing.
She had her van in front of the garage in the back of her house. She went to sleep. She woke up the next morning. When she woke up and cranked the van, it made a horrible noise. She couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. She realized it would drive, so she drove it to the mechanic's place that she uses, and the guy crawled underneath the van and crawled back out and said, "You ain't got no catalytic converter. Somebody stole it."
Yeah, they got a breather and cut it out.
Yep.
It's a lot of metal, I guess.
Anyway, back to the confession or the semi-confession, because you didn't really do this.
Yeah, right.
This is hypothetical.
Yeah. The hypothetical, if you want to take a catalytic converter apart, all right, go with that.
Yeah.
So if you happen to know somebody that's putting one back together, welding it from it being opened, and you get the guts out of it,
and sell it.
It's like a paper material in it, and you have to take a flathead and anyways. So I heard that when you're putting the square back on, I was welding and I smelled something burning, and I had my welding apron on, and I just kept going because I figured it was just pieces of clothing. And then a minute went by and I was like, something is cooking. And I happened to feel on my chest with my hand that didn't have my glove on, and I could feel that it was a flame, and I can't feel that good on the bottom side of my pectoral muscle. And man, I ruined the best Georgia Bulldog sweatshirt. I'm talking, I got up, there was a huge hole in it, and I've got a scar on my pec now that's like, it's crazy. I couldn't feel it though. So,
is it shaped like a G? Because that could have been kind of cool if it did that.
Ben, I got to tell you this, dude. The next time you smell something burning, you need to stop and check it out.
My buddy was sitting there the whole time. I was like, "Bro, you didn't see that I was on fire?
You let me burn?"
He probably said something. It was a lot cooler watching it. Yeah.
I bet you said, "I was wondering when you were going to move."
As I always tell the kids I used to coach when they get injured, don't worry, chicks dig scars.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, it's been great. And like I said, once again, guys, if y'all have a couple extra bucks to spare, send Ben some money to help him out. I know he would appreciate it, and I would appreciate it. So, Leonard Davis says, I'll send you a Florida Gator shirt, Ben, to take care of that Georgia shirt. You can wear that. You can wear that instead of that nasty old Florida or Georgia Gator or Georgia Bulldog shirt. I'll send you a Florida Gator shirt. So
that's funny.
So
Russell,
go
you gotta
Gator.
give me a blessing. You got two confessions out of it. You need a blessing.
Yep. All right, guys. Thank you, Ben. I appreciate you being on here tonight. Thank you very much.
Guys very much.
And I hope and pray that you get on that Shark Tank and you get somebody to back you, and so you can keep this up and keep going, and even like you said, where you can start manufacturing them like the mountain bikes and stuff are. So
yeah,
I really hope that happens for you. I wish you the best.
Thank you all very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, let somebody know when you're going to be on Shark Tank, so this little small group of people.
Send him a friend. I sent him a friend request and he accepted it. So I'm gonna start following him and seeing what he's doing.
Then we can watch you on Shark Tank.
Yep, we'll watch you on Shark Tank.
He's on for a demo. Let me know.
Maybe even bring you back, because we certainly want to hear what took place. And
yeah, that'd be good.
I'd love to hear the story of what really goes on behind the scenes at Shark Tank.
Yeah, there you go.
Leonard Davis says, "Thank you, Ben, and good luck. And as a teacher, you will love it and you'll be great."
Thank you.
Real quick question before you log off. What grade are you looking to teach?
I'll be certified for any 5th grade through 8th grade middle school social studies or science.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Junior
I
high.
used to teach PE, so I was just curious.
Right.
Yeah, and I can definitely tell you will like those high schoolers.
Yeah.
They're junior high.
They're a blast.
Middle school. Yeah.
Yeah, middle school.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah.
I think you'll do
all right, guys.
Can you
We're
guys
about ready to get out of here? I appreciate all y'all being out there. Aussie Man, Leonard Davis, Hobby Woodshop joined us right at the end. Yep, right at the end. We're fixing to get off here, Javi.
Behind us.
Jason, been out there. Leonard Davis, all those people have been out there. I appreciate it. Jerry Blakesley, Jerry's Machines. Jim Dockrell. I didn't even know Jim Dockrell was out there. Wow, he must not have been very active, because usually he caused trouble. Yeah, he usually causes trouble. So James Parker, glad to have you out there, James. I appreciate you watching us tonight. And those people, Gerald Vance, Jeff Walsma, Walsma, Walsma. Hey, if you have a name that is anything other than Smith, I will guarantee you I will mispronounce it. It's going to happen. Matter of fact, I'm lucky that I pronounced Ben's last name Huntzinger. I said, no, if he called it Huntzingwalker or something, I'm going to be in trouble, because it sure looks like a Huntzinger to me. So, but I'm very glad that, I butcher names. I don't know how the hell I do it, but I do it. So anyway, but that's it for the night, folks. Thanks, Ben. Thank you, Jim, for being here, Paul, Al, and Chris. I hope, Dixon, if you're out there listening, I hope you get to feeling better, buddy. I hope to see you next week. And eat lots of chicken soup and stay hydrated. That's the best thing for you.
Jack Daniels will help too.
Yeah, Jack Daniels will help.
And a friend is out there. She really knows what Jim thinks of her.
All right. So we're getting out of here. Listen, if you're too darn busy to get out in your shop and make some sawdust, you are absolutely just too darn busy. Just give me sawdust, lots of sawdust all around me and everywhere. I like it flying all around my shop and even in my beard and hair. Good night, everybody. Thank you for watching, and God bless.
Good night, everyone. Live long and prosper.
Remember, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Nope.
What Chris said.
Bill fast. That was quick.
He bailed, yeah. Good night, everyone.